Greetings, YouTube. The cafeteria I have at work shows television 24/7. And at night, it's a long series of entertainment shows. At least at one time it was infomercials, which was worse. Now they're just doing whatever the station happens to be playing. I don't know what the heck it is. And they vary. Like sometimes they do these like redneck remake videos where they like remake people's homesteads and farms. And sometimes they do game warden things, which is kind of cool because some of that takes place in the state of New Hampshire. That's kind of interesting to watch game warders doing their thing. And mostly I'm just like walking in, putting my headphones on, and then leaving. So I try to avoid interacting with this stuff. But at least one, sometimes 2 nights a week, they show Sasquatch videos. Bigfoot shows. Hour after hour after hour of episodes of people hunting Bigfoot. Now again, I try to ignore this, but as I come in and go out, it's hard to do. And I understand why they produce these shows, because people will watch them, which means people will watch the ads. There's money to be made in the Sasquatch Bigfoot videos. Same reason there's money to be made in the Ancient Aliens shows. I've never actually watched one of those. I should actually watch one of those someday. And the Bigfoot videos crack me up because they're always done in like night vision, so everything's this green washed out thing, and it's supposed to be very tactical and cool. Like they're all, they're out in the woods at night trying to find Bigfoot. And most of them seem to be set out in the Midwest or the Rocky Mountains, or sometimes they even go to Canada, stuff like that. And they've gone to the southern states too, and there's lots of, wilderness down there in those areas. And in fact, there are sections of the South which are essentially tropical forests. In all practical terms. And so there's lots of places that you could believably hide something the size of a Bigfoot. Now, a Bigfoot is supposed to be a type of primate, but an ape. And the largest ape in the world that we know of are gorillas. Gorillas can be very large, but they're not fully bipedal. Bigfoots are supposed to be fully bipedal. But they could give you a good rule of thumb of the kind of size you'd be looking for, and the size of range that they would require to live. Now, the gorillas, even if you stand one upright, is 6.5 feet tall. It's probably about the highest you're going to get. And a lot of Bigfoots are supposed to be in the 7 to 9 foot range. So that's even a larger item. That's a bigger thing to be looking for. So that makes your job a little bit easier. And I did a little bit of notes here, and the average gorilla troop range, and this is a rough. I took an average of the high and the low sizes. I realize that it depends a great deal on how rich of the environment they're in as far as nutrients is available. The average troop size is about 5 square miles. So 5 square miles, roughly the average troop range for gorillas. Interestingly, the Bigfoot shows, at least a couple of the ones I've heard, and again, I'm not watching them, every minute of them, seem to be portraying the Bigfoots as apex predators, which is weird, seeing as the largest ape on the planet, the gorilla, is an herbivore. Now, what are the other large apes, the chimpanzees? They're omnivores. They not only eat lots of plants and incidental animals, like things they can reach easily amongst plants, but they also actively hunt. Yes, chimps hunt. And I've seen videos of it, and it's chilling to watch them hunt because they're really damn smart. Go check one out. It's chilling to watch. But I don't think there's any reason in the world to think that a Bigfoot would necessarily have to be an apex predator. I would see it more of a primate that is an omnivore with a heavy herbivorous diet. So they eat mostly plants, but they may be incidental, omnivores and whatever they can get their hands on. Even deer will eat birds if they feel a need for calcium that they can't get from their environment. They'll literally eat bones because they need the calcium. So yeah, even animals that we think of as traditionally being purely herbivorous can in fact eat animals. So again, I don't think they're apex predators. So that right there makes it very silly to me. But again, and I'm giving them a lot of credence here, let's take them as a realistic concept. I think they're probably omnivores. All right. The squeaking you hear in the background is going to be our new kitten, Dwight. I apologize. So one night they talked about hunting Bigfoot in Rhode Island. Yep, let that sit there for a sec. Rhode Island. Rhode Island, and again, I took a few notes, has a land area of 1,214 square miles. That is roughly a 35-mile square. It has a population of 1.1 million people, which works out to 30,000 square feet per person, which is roughly a square 175 feet on a side, and an acre is 4,300 square feet, 43,000 square feet. So they're 30,000 square feet per person, so it's just under, a square acre. Okay, so you're looking at acre. You could put a person in the middle of an acre plot and scan around, and you're roughly going to be having the area square footage of what an average person would have in Rhode Island. For an animal, that a troop may need 5 square miles. Now, let's take into account that it would be considered, again, an apex predator. The smallest range for a female grizzly bear is 300 square miles. And that's on the low end. So you could, in theory, have 4 female grizzly bears in Rhode Island without overlapping ranges. And in real life, they probably do overlap. But we'll just say they're very standoffish. So you have 4 standoffish grizzly bears in Rhode Island, and they just don't like each other. And so you have 4 of them. So how do you have a breeding population of 8-foot primates in a state where each person would just have to stand up and go, nope, no Bigfoot, for them to prove that, in fact, there are no Bigfoots in Rhode Island? Or is it Big Feet? That's a good question. Is Bigfoot, Big Feet, the plural of Bigfoot? I've never thought about that before till just now. But yeah, so I realize these shows are just made to make money. I get it. They're playing on the gullible folks out there that will believe that there is in the real world an 8-foot unknown primate wandering around in the wilds of Rhode Island. Rhode Island, tiny little state. I go further on a regular basis to go to antique stores. All right, it's like multiple times the length of the state just to get to the tip of my state in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire is a tiny little state. Rhode Island is a postage stamp of territory compared to the greater United States of America. Literally, it's the size of a postage stamp. If you were to look at an American map, the map of America as a letter, that's what Rhode Island is. It is the postage stamp on the American envelope. And within that postage stamp is supposed to be Bigfoot. So yes, I am in fact making a 10-minute video where I'm making fun of folks that believe that Bigfoot is real. And I apologize for that. I love cryptids. My wife loves cryptids. We find them fascinating. My wife owns a number of Bigfoot paraphernalia. She finds it great. We both would love if the Bigfoot were real. If Nessie were real, that would be awesome. But we understand that where the rubber meets the road, they aren't. And when you start trying to apply belief to the real world, that's where we have a conflict. Yeah, if you try trying to replace religion with religion with science or science with religion, that's where you have problems. And this is a case of trying to replace science with religion. You're trying to believe that there is an 8-foot primate wandering around the wilds of North America because you want to. You really want them to exist, and I can 100% understand that. I really do. It would be awesome. But Rhode Island is a really tiny place. You can't have a Bigfoot in Rhode Island. And as long as they were sticking them in like Georgia and Colorado and the Canadian Rockies, it at least had the air of plausible deniability. But when you tell me that there is actually a show that's talking about hunting Bigfoot in Rhode Island, I just friggin' lost it. It cracked me up. Alrighty, so have you ever watched one of these shows? Tell me in the notes. And have you ever applied any modicum of logic to the concept of just maybe, there aren't any Bigfoot in America?